Question hour. Usually, 1 hour of everyday sitting is kept for the question hour. Normally, on Saturdays, there is no question hour. There are 3 kinds of questions which are asked in the house: starred questions, unstarred questions, and the short notice questions. As far as the start questions are concerned, oral answers are given, supplementary questions can be asked, 21 days clear notice is given in case of the starred questions. In case of the unstarred questions, written answers are given, supplementary questions cannot be asked, then 21 days clear notice is given. In case of the short notice questions, not less than or not more than 10 days notice is given, oral answers are given, supplementary questions can be asked, and these are the matters of urgent public importance. 0 hour. 0 hour is generally the time gap between the end of the question hour as well as the beginning of the normal listed business of the day. It is considered to be an effective tool. An informal procedure is there. Normally, questions of public importance are asked. It is not necessary to have 0 hour every day. In case of the Lok Sabha, 20 questions can be asked in the 0 hour. In case of Rajya Sabha, 7 questions can be asked in case of Rajya Sabha. Now, the half an hour discussion. Again, half an hour discussion is an important tool which is used in the Parliament. The discussion generally takes place at the last hours of the sitting. Generally, those questions are asked which are related to the matters where the answers are lately given by the minister. In case a member is not satisfied with the information or he needs some other information or some clarification is required, in that case, this kind of discussion can be there. In case of adjournment motion, the normal listed business of the House is set aside and some matter of urgent public importance is taken. Normally, in case of the adjournment motion, the notice is given at 10 o'clock in the morning prior to the sitting of the session. Now, there is a term that is adjournment, adjournment sine die, prorogue, and the dissolution of the House. Now, there is difference in all the 4 terms. In case of the adjournment, the sitting of the House is terminated for some specified time, that is hours, weeks, or some days. In case of adjournment sine die, the sitting is terminated for an indefinite period. And the power of adjournment as well as the adjournment sine die is exercised by the presiding officer of the House. Now, what is prorogation? The power to prorogue the House is exercised by the President. Prorogation means the termination of the session of the House. The House can be prorogued from time to time. Either a single House can be prorogued or both the Houses. In case of the dissolution, only the Lok Sabha can be dissolved. Rajya Sabha is considered to be House of permanent nature, so no dissolution of Rajya Sabha is possible. Now, this dissolution brings an end to the life of the House. Then again, the general elections takes place and the new House, or you can say the new members, they sits in the Parliament. Now, I'll discuss with you the topic of making laws, or you can say the legislation. It is a very important tool Or you can say the important function of the parliament is to make laws. All the legislative proposals are brought in the form of the bills. The bill is generally introduced in either house of the parliament, and once the bill is passed in one house, it is passed to another house. Once it is also passed by the other house, then it goes to the president for his assent. Once it is assented by the president, the bill becomes the act. Now, the bill can be divided into two categories. That is, the government bill, and then comes the private members bill. Now, what is the difference between the government bill and the private members bill? The government members bill is always sponsored by the minister. As far as the private members bill is there, it is always sponsored or introduced by the member other than the minister. Now, what are the various kinds of bill as far as its content is there? There are important four kinds of bills: ordinary bills, money bills, financial bills, and constitutional amendment bills. First of all, I will discuss with you the procedure which is followed in case of ordinary bill. Ordinary bill can be introduced in either house of the parliament, either in the House of the People or the Council of States. Once the bill is introduced in the House, it undergoes through three stages, or you can say the three readings. That is, the first reading, the second reading, the third reading. In case of the first reading, only the discussion of motion of leave to introduce the bill in the House takes place. In case of the second reading, there are two stages. In the first stage, only the general discussion on the principles underlying the bill take place. In case of the second stage of the second reading, clause by clause consideration of the bill is there. And in this case, a detailed discussion of every clause takes place. Even amendments can be made to different clauses in this stage. And in case the amendments are voted and passed, they are also included in that bill. Once the second stage is over, then the turn comes of the third reading. In the third reading, the motion to adopt the bill is passed. Once that motion is adopted, the bill is said to be passed. After undergoing all these stages, now the bill goes to the other house. Again, in the other house, all the three readings, or you can say the same procedure which was followed in the first house, is followed. Once all these stages are undergone in the second house, then the bill goes for the assent of the president. Now, there is a possibility of the deadlock also. What do you mean by deadlock now? And if there is a deadlock, how the deadlock is resolved? Article 108 of the Constitution of India answers this question. According to Article 108 of the Constitution, in case the second house rejects the bill, in case the members don't agree on the amendment made by the other house, in case 6 months have lapsed, still the bill is pending there, in that case, in all the three cases, a deadlock is created. Now, how to resolve this deadlock? In that case, a joint sitting of both the houses is called by the president. And in the joint sitting, the bill is passed by simple majority of the total membership of the members present and voting. And once the bill is passed here, the bill goes for the assent of the president. Now the president has three options: either to pass the bill, or to withhold his assent, or to return the bill for reconsideration. In case the bill is returned to the houses for reconsideration and then the bill again goes to the President, the bill is said to be passed. And in that case, a bill becomes an act. In the second part, I've told you about question hour, 0 hour, half an hour discussion, adjournment motion, adjournment sine die, prorogation, dissolution, different kinds of bill, and I've also discussed the procedure of passing the ordinary bill. Now in the third section, I'll be talking about other kinds of bill.